This is my go-to tart. I am actually going to make a Frangipane tart. But since it's fig season, I thought, you know, these beautiful figs I found at the markets, and I think these would go beautifully with the Frangipane. So let's kick it off. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to focus on the pastry. We've got about 170 grams of flour. We've got about 85 grams of butter, a pinch of salt. And here's the trick. Some ice water. I've just got some ice in here. I'm just going to put some water in there. Put a dash of vinegar in the water, and this really helps give you a really flaky pastry. Just a pinch of salt in there, and here we go. Flour and salt straight into the food processor. Whiz it up a little bit, just to mix up the salt. Now the butter goes in. So I'm just going to cut them up in small little pieces. All goes in. This is where you just pulse, right? You want to get it to a sort of a rough crumb. Great, that looks fantastic. Now the water goes in. So when the water goes in, you want the blender to be moving. A little at a time. Perfect. So whenever you work on pastries, it's a good idea to let it rest because you've just kind of given it a whiz. You've activated the gluten, so you want it to kind of relax. I generally don't knead the dough. Get some cling film, wrap it up, press it flat a little, so it's a lot easier to roll after. Fantastic. I'm just going to bung this in the fridge probably for about 20-30 minutes. The dough has been resting in the fridge for about 30 minutes. Now, here's a tip from me. This works really well for me, and I use it all the time. This is just one of those supermarket sort of bags you put fruit in. Get a clean one, cut two sides of it, because I want it to open up into a big sheet. Now, here's the trick to rolling doughs. I generally go one direction, quarter turn, and then the next direction. All right, so roll this out. Pastries are good to do over winter because it's not too hot. Great. So we're just going to measure it. Perfect. Spray your tin. Just make sure you get into all the little corners. And then shake it. Okay, now to get the pastry in. So what I normally do is I kind of peel it off on one side, flip it over onto the other, peel it off as well. So it's kind of loosened itself. This goes over the top. Flip it over. Hands into the nooks and crannies. Okay. And then slowly peel the layer off. To trim the edges off, just take a knife and then just gently shave it. We're not cutting the pastry. Great. So now we're going to line this. So it's just foil paper. Very gently tuck them into the corners. And then push them over the top because this actually will stop your pastry from collapsing. Pour some rice through. All right, so straight into an oven, 180 for about 20 minutes. Tart's ready. I'm just going to check the pastry. Perfect. And if you want, you can essentially take this out beforehand. Dry it out a little bit in the oven for another 5 minutes, but I think it looks pretty good. Let's just let this cool. This is my favorite bit, the Frangipane. So here we've got some room temperature butter and 100 grams of sugar. So there we go. It's looking really nice and creamy. You can tell by the color of the mixture. It's really light. I'm going to crack the eggs in here. All right, 2 eggs go in, about one at a time. Looking good. Oops. Now we're going to add in a little bit of vanilla, about a teaspoon. Everything tastes better when you've added vanilla to it. Whiz it up a little bit more. I like adding about a tablespoon of flour in here. Just helps firm up the mixture a little bit. All right, I'm gonna fold the rest in by hand. So here's about 100 grams of almond meal. Fold this together. Now we're gonna fill the tart in here. Just dollop them all in, and then we're just gonna spread them out. Wonderful. All right, we're just gonna put this straight in the oven, 180, probably about 40 minutes. Wow, okay, the tart's come out of the oven. It's had a bit of time to cool. I've taken it out of the tin, and now it's dressing the tart time. The only thing we need here is some honey, and I've got a little bit of pistachios. I'm gonna actually crumble this up a little bit, and we're gonna put it over the top. Great, all right, so we're ready. I'm just gonna paintbrush the honey over the top, just so it looks really nice. It glows a little bit, picks up the light. Now for my figs. I'm gonna do a little bit of a design. So I'm gonna halve some. So I'm gonna put some like this. We'll have one whole. We'll have a little bit more like that. Oh my gosh, this is so yummy. I love figs. Dried figs, fresh figs, anything goes. Okay, bit of honey. And this is the fun bit. We're gonna drizzle. This looks divine. It just looks so good. And it smells even better. Now we're gonna sprinkle some of this beautiful crumbled pistachios. Looks amazing. I'm gonna have to take a photo of this. Can't wait to eat this.